Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Resurrection, and today we're going to be doing the top 10 best units for Infinite leaderboard. Now, the first 5 I have is basically support. Now, supports are very, very, very important, and of course, we're going to talk about Julius first, debatably the best support in the game. Now, he has a lot of damage, slow SPA, and a lot of range, so he's not too bad of a DPS. But his range is really massive. Good circle. But this is not what we're talking about. He's a support. Of course, time acceleration. Every single unit in his range gets a 10%, minus 10% SPA buff. Really good. Just some added DPS. And then, of course, every unit that steps in his range gets slowed. And the closer they are to him, he gets up to 55%, which is just unbelievably broken. And on top of that, he has a 10-second time stop, so he has a 75-second cooldown. And let's see how long they're stopped for. Yeah, about 10 seconds. So absolutely broken. Julius is stupid. You need him 100%. Okay, next character is Noelle. Now the thing about Noelle is she's not really that great of a DPS, but she can summon tsunamis every 30 seconds that slows by 20% and also makes them take 15% more damage. Now, you can't stack slows with Julius, but for example, you want all your DPS around here, but if you need to spam skip waves, the thing is that the waves will come down and hit, will slow outside of his range. And then, even when they step out, you'll still have the waves to slow all the way down the path to try to auto-skip those few extra waves and at the end of your run. So basically the way you want to do it is place a Noelle, wait about 10 to 15 seconds, place another Noelle, and then place another Noelle 10 to 15 seconds later. So you want to space them out so you always have waves coming down the path. And like I said, they slow 20% and also debuff 15%, and every single debuff in this game stacks. Next up is Beerus. Beerus is insanely good because he has God's Presence, which inflicts fear on enemies, and they take 12% more damage. Insanely good passive. And it also stacks with every single debuff, so Noelle and also non-enemy, which we'll get here into in a second. And then he also has a 30% chance to instant kill enemies below 25% HP, which, if you don't know, is very, very good because, for example, if they're getting all the way over here and they're 30% HP, it'll be really nice to kill them before they leak. And if they do leak, they're probably going to be really low, so Beerus can catch some of the leaks. And you also can place not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Beeruses, which makes him a solid DPS. And also debuffs, which means you want to have 2 on, maybe last and closest, and then 2 on first and weakest. So, like I said, so you could basically use both of his passives. Now, unfortunately, I only have him level 13 with a bad trait, but he does do somewhere up, I think, 25 to 30,000, really good range. Here's a circle, pretty solid, and a decent SPA hybrid, of course. And also, if you guys were wondering, I should probably max out Noelle. Noelle does 8,000, which her waves do damage, by the way. It just does her portrayed damage right here. Good range and decent SPA with a line. Not really DPS units, like I said, but Beerus isn't bad for DPS, so definitely try to level them up and get a decent trait on him just for that extra DPS. And then also, we have non-enemy, which is also extremely broken. One tip I want to say with him is, you want one first, close, and last. And then you want to leave him on upgrade 7 because he gets a bigger circle. His circle goes down for some reason on Dark Flash. So definitely keep him on level 7. And also he has a faster SPA. But if you were wondering, his circle goes down and he also has a longer SPA, as you guys can see. So yeah, definitely keep him on upgrade 7 and do not max him out. Also, his passive is quite broken. 35% increased damage to anything he hits. So it stacks with Beerus. So we have Noelle, right, doing 15% extra damage. And then we have non-enemy doing 35, so that's 50%. And then we have Beerus, which is 62% in total extra damage that the enemies take. Really, really broken. All these are really good support. And like I said, Beerus has a chance to instant kill under a certain amount of HP. Noelle can also slow throughout the entire path. So just all around insane passives from all these guys. And then we have Dio. Now, Dio is probably going to be really hard to get for most people. But basically what makes him good is he's a solid DPS. But what makes him really shine is his time stop. Now, he's a little expensive, so I can't afford him at the moment. But I will show you him in a second, his time stop in a second. But If we go ahead and read his passives, so the first unit within his range gets a scar, or like a, what's it called, like a DOT, damage over time. It's like bleed, I guess. So basically what you want to do is coordinate with your team and be like, hey, what's the strongest unit? Like, what's the best DPS unit we have, which we'll go over here in a second. For example, we'll just use Sid. Actually, we'll just use Julius. Okay, Julius is our highest DPS unit, just pretending. And we want to place Dio and Julius first, so he can give him the passive, because like I said, first unit in range gets Scar, so basically you want to place Julius and Dio at the same time first, before any other unit, so you can give him the buff. And then his other, passive is just his DOT. For some reason, it's not really a passive, but I will show you something that makes him really, really good. Also, take notes that he is decently strong. Like I said, he also has a DOT, so he does more than this. Good range, and he also has a really nice circle when he's maxed out. But he's just like a little bit extra DPS. If you have Miracle on him, he's like pretty solid for DPS, but he's definitely more of a support. Because of a broken time stop ability, which you'll see right now. This is 110% needed. So remember, 300-second cooldown. Let's go ahead and see how long this time stops, right? I mean, it can't be that long, right? It also looks pretty cool. Time stops the entire map. Now, these guys are just spawning, so they're not going to get time stopped. But you basically want to use this time stop right before you're about to die, or right before they're about to get outside of your DPS. You want a time stop. So about 23 seconds. Yeah, fair unit, by the way. I mean, broken. Also, Julius has a time stop, so you want to coordinate. It's about like 5 to 10 seconds in between each time stop. So, basically you want to auto use this, or time it well when there's a bunch of units in range. And then once you got to tell your teammate, hey bro, I need to use Dio time stops, so stop using Julius. You can go ahead and pop this time stop and just have a 23-second time stop. So yeah, really all like super broken supports right here. I recommend all these. You're probably gonna want to run all these. You probably don't need all of them, but this is what I ran and it worked really well. Okay, so now we're doing DPS units. First one up is Licked, because I think this one's pretty controversial. Okay, so basically, Licked is retarded because he's full AoE. You can place both of them next to each other, by the way, for the 20% light damage buff. They do 21.2 thousand damage, 8.2 SPA, almost 30 range. 30 range is pretty good, about the same as Aizen, which is also meta DPS. 8.2 is kind of high. 21,000 is pretty solid as well. Which is stronger than a lot of characters. But not only can he buff light, which he could buff gamma. He could buff gamma right here because he's light, but he could buff himself. And also, if we read this passive right here, Light Mercenary, when this unit eliminates an enemy, by the way, he does all he has to do is hit them. Any amount of damage will basically make it where it spawns. He doesn't have to get the final hit. When this unit eliminates an enemy, there's a 35% chance to spawn a Light Servant with 80% of the health. Now, when you're doing a leaderboard run, they're always going to have capped his damage, because they have millions. He doesn't do millions per hit, at least. Cap health at 10% or 10x the unit's damage. So 21,000 damage times 10. And this is only with Heavenly, by the way. He's doing 210,000 damage summons. So you could have two of these guys down doing 210,000 damage summons. Now look how many there are. There's a lot. And if your teammates run them, there could be even more. 210k summons. And he summons quite frequently. Now they'll help with bosses. They'll help with any leaks. And like I said, he's also a good DPS full AoE. And also can buff gammas, which we'll go on to gammas right now. Now the thing with gamma is you need to basically stack his passives. He basically just needs to be the first one down. Just stacking his passives. Now, like I said, it takes like 20 waves to 30 waves to stack all these. But once you do, we'll just go ahead and do no passive stacking. So he basically has like 30% more damage than what you see, and like a 20% better SPA. Gamma is extremely strong. So you have, with Miracle, of course, this would be a lot weaker, but with Miracle, 80k, 7 SPA, 36.8 range. His nuke is also quite strong. It does about 300,000 with Miracle. But not only does it, buff his, just do a nuke, but it also buffs his damage. He gets up to 113,000, 7 SPA, 68 range. 68 range is absolutely retarded, most in the game, and also his damage is extremely high. So this is a very, very good unit. Next character I want to talk about is Sid. Now everybody knows that Sid is probably going to be the best. I have Paladin with SSS damage, and he's very, very strong. He's not max level yet, so he could be a lot stronger. But he's level 56. He does 52,000 damage with Paladin, 5.4 SPA, 40 range with a boss on the map. That's to do something with his passive, which we'll get in here in a second. So 32 range normally. Here we go, 32 range, which is not that far off of Licht. Licht actually has the same range as Sid, which I think his range went up for some reason. I'm not sure why that actually happened. Why does range go up? What? I'm actually a little confused about that. Does Gamma Nuke buff range or something? Anyways, I have no clue why his range actually went up. But anyways, really good stats all around. Full AoE. You can also place 2 with Paladin or 3 normally. You can only place 2 licks no matter what, unless you have Miracle. But his passive is really useful. So 5% minus SPA every time he uses an ability. So as you guys can see, let me max this one out. So I used the nuke. Oh no, I didn't use the nuke on him. Okay. So basically you can get his SPA all the way down to like 5. Or sorry, maybe like 5 seconds flat. Because he gets minus 15% with each nuke. So you basically want to be using his nukes on both of them at the start of the game to just get a lower SPA. And then 25% more range when a boss is on the map. So he has like 40 range, as you guys saw earlier. Extremely strong unit right here. Definitely a meta DPS. A lot of people think he's the best. In my opinion, he's really, really close to the best. I don't know about the best, but it's close. And his nuke with Paladin does about 1.2 million. Gamma does 400,000, but Gamma gets a huge damage increase. If this was Miracle Sid, it'd be a closer comparison, but I'm just showing you that Gamma is still very, very good, no matter what trait you have. But you obviously do want to have a secret or a mythic. Anyways, yeah, 1.2 million with Paladin for the nuke, and Gamma only does about 400k, but he gets also some huge buffs. Next unit is Kaido. I don't think anybody saw this coming, considering it was in my hotbar. But Kaido is extremely, extremely good. Now, the thing with Kaido is that he's full AoE, like the majority of the units here. Full AoE, has an ability, is really good. Also, just remember, he can get a little bit more damage and a little bit, better SPA by the waves go on. He also reduces other units' special abilities by 15%, so Sid can nuke faster. Any cooldowns, I believe in general, I'm not sure if it's exactly in his range, but in general, will have a better cooldown. So, good passives, especially Dragon Will, kind of carries his passives, but he's also a really good DPS. I mean, he has really good range for a full AoE, really good damage, so we could compare his damage to, Sid. Sid has better SPA and all that, but still really good damage, decent SPA, and also really good range. All these units are also hybrid as well. I just want to put that in there. But he has an ability that burns and also, I think just burns and does some damage. I'm not exactly sure how much it does. It probably just does his damage or double this. Next unit is Aizen. Aizen is also extremely broken. Not only is Aizen full AoE, but his passives are really good, or his one passive. 30% chance to stun an enemy for 7.5 seconds. It's basically guaranteed because he's multi-hit, does like 5 hits when he's full AoE. So you basically, stun enemies for 7.5 seconds. I don't know the exact cooldown for this, but that's a huge stun. And he deals basically 3 times damage to bosses. Now, I tested this in a previous video. Go check that out, by the way. I tested this in a previous video that he does more than 3x damage. He does 170,000 damage to bosses, and I have this recorded in another video. So, like I said, go check that out if you want. But yeah, he's really crazy, and on top of that, he has an ability, which I'll show here in a second. Also, I can't really use Kaido's ability. Yeah, let me try to delete. Let me delete Gamma and Licht so I could show you. Oh, actually, this is a perfect time to show you. Yeah, look, this is what Kaido's ability looks like. Oh, there we go. So it's full AoE, and it also burns. As you guys can see, it's taking for like 7k damage right there. Let's go ahead and sell him. Now, maxed out Aizen versus boss. Now, 1 million. Okay, well, hold on. Wait, it's 962. There we go. 960 all the way down to 800k. The boss walked into his range when he basically does multi-hit, and he walked into it in the last hit, so that's why he got stunned early. Yeah, but he's already stunned again. Let's see how much damage he does. A retarded amount. By the way, he's the only one down, and I also use his ability, which is Black Burn, takes for 4k. Not really too great of an ability, to be honest. Also, I kind of placed him bad, so he might actually leak here. But don't worry about it, because I have Sid. Oh, let's go, Sid. Also, look at... Oh, my God. Paladin plus the... Oh, my gosh. What the heck is this? 55 range with the boss and the Paladin buff? That's retarded. Anyways, let's go ahead and use his nuke, because why not? This is why he's really, really good. And his SPA does go down, as you guys can see, 5.18 now. Yeah, Aizen is just retarded. So he's a support with really good DPS, full AoE. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Now, the only one that I think is probably going to be controversial is Licht. But like I said, 210,000 damage summons with Heavenly. Double that with Paladin. We're looking at about 400,000 damage summons. And then you'd have Miracle. We're looking at 600,000 damage summons. Absolutely a broken character. And should be, he's just broken. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps out a lot as well. If you're going for a leaderboard, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.